These device manufacturers now, I mean, the good thing about Wi-Fi is there's so many more devices that are Wi-Fi compatible versus cellular, right?
Much of the data that gives professional sports teams an edge comes from wearable devices that need Wi-Fi 6 for connectivity. We'll learn about that today on The Signal. All right, welcome to The Signal. This is Martha DeGrasse here for Wi-Fi Alliance, and this is The Signal, our podcast where we give you the inside track on Wi-Fi. These are meant to be smart conversations with industry leaders. We want to deliver a new perspective on the growing portfolio of Wi-Fi technologies that we see changing the connectivity landscape. And today we are very, very excited to be joined by Mike Zeto. He is Chief Commercial Officer at Boingo. Mike, thank you so much. It's great to have you on The Signal.
No, thanks for having me. This is great. It's great to see you again and looking forward to a good discussion.
Yeah, we're going to learn a lot today. We've had some podcasts before about stadium Wi-Fi, but this is a little bit of a variation. This is a Wi-Fi 6 deployment at a training facility, right?
Yes, exactly. The Washington Commanders reached out to us, and I think you can say that pro sports is always looking for a competitive advantage. And when it comes to connectivity, it's no different nowadays. The Commanders reached out to us. They had a practice facility that they were trying to improve connectivity around, and we stepped up and helped them deploy a Wi-Fi 6 network. It's been great working with them, and we're just seeing a lot of activity across the sports landscape in general. But now with Wi-Fi 6 becoming more prevalent, we're certainly starting to see more and more teams want to leverage all types of connectivity, but especially Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi 6 to improve their operations and everything that they want to do there from an application perspective.
Yeah, I think we should get into the applications because that really is one of the most interesting parts of that. But first, let me just ask you, I'm guessing that they didn't reach out to you and say, hey, we want Wi-Fi 6 specifically, or did they? Did they tell you what they needed to do, or did they have an actual technology in mind when they reached out?
You know, it's interesting. Usually there's just gaps in connectivity, right? Mm-hmm. And it's, hey, we need to improve connectivity. Tablets are buffering, or there's these XYZ use cases that we'd like to start to leverage to improve and drive certain outcomes, right? And then we step in and advise them on what type of connectivity may enable those applications that give them the outcome. And in this case, because it was a practice facility, because it was indoors, it made a lot of sense that we deploy a Wi-Fi 6 network to give them that lower latency and high throughput capabilities that they were looking for.
About how big is this facility?
It's a full football field and then and some offices around. So it's a domed facility, and I think we actually even have some pictures that we can probably send over to you. But it's a pretty good sized facility. Square foot wise, I'm not exactly sure what the square footage is, but it's definitely a good sized facility that they're using to practice. It's an all-weather practice facility.
Okay. So what were some of the challenges that you faced?
Some of the challenges, you're looking for really great coverage, and both cellular and Wi-Fi need to work together seamlessly. So you're always working against interference, and then making sure that for us, we take a point of view of convergence where we make sure that both can operate together and really give them all the connectivity and spectrum power that they need for that right experience. And then, I mean, they really wanted to leverage the latest player training technologies for improved performance, and then be able to leverage that data for injury prevention and really optimize and recovery. So they didn't have that high speed, high bandwidth wireless network. So we were able to deploy that. I would say just really understanding the use cases to make sure that we designed the network properly. Because it was indoors, it was a little bit easier than an outdoor environment. So it was really just making sure we understood the outcome, so we designed the network the right way.
And so what are some of the applications and training technologies that they're trying to use or that they are using?
Yeah, so I think one of the things you'll start to see, not only them, but other NFL teams start to leverage is more VR, right? Virtual reality, where you can actually use Oculus, for instance, an Oculus headset and put the players inside special game tape shots with a 360-degree camera. So, you know, you've heard of other teams doing this. I think you'll start to see all of them move this way. So being able to put a quarterback in a position where they're leveraging Oculus, if you will, and then be able to see all the players on the field from a different angle and be part of the actual action for training purposes, I think is going to be one of the use cases. Player safety for sure, leveraging different wearables, if you will, that are tracking heart rate, accelerometers, high-speed cameras, right? And then I think you'll see them also start to leverage, and they are leveraging now, digital scouting systems and things of that nature. So those are some of the applications that the Commanders are going to be using, and I think you'll see most other sports teams start to leverage as connectivity improves in facilities or around facilities so that they can leverage those applications.
Okay, this may be a dumb question. What exactly is a digital scouting system?
Yeah, so being able to leverage different tablet applications and adjust plays on the fly, right? Like you're seeing on some of the game day footage that you see, right?
Okay, got it. Okay, so as far as the wearables, do you have to get involved with the actual device makers that make these wearables for the players, or do you have to know very much about how they connect? I mean, obviously, if they weren't using Wi-Fi, it wouldn't have been a fit. So you must have known that going in.
Yeah, pretty seamless, right? I mean, these device manufacturers now, the good thing about Wi-Fi is there's so many more devices that are Wi-Fi compatible versus cellular, right? And I think it's, the ecosystem is just massive right now. And so I think most designed for Wi-Fi first, even though the carriers are driving more cellular first. But I think it's Wi-Fi first and then cellular. So the ecosystem is pretty broad from a device perspective. So I think that's been a pretty seamless transaction, but we certainly have our finger on the pulse of the different device ecosystems, chipset manufacturers, and we work very closely with them.
Oh, you do? Okay. All right, good. And as far as the Oculus AR, VR, where are they processing that data? Like on site or all the way in the cloud? Or
So a lot of that is probably going to start to be processed at the edge, right? That's a great mech use case, looking at cellular and Wi-Fi and being able to keep data closer in, decrease the latency, right? And I think that's where you're going to start to see that happen more and more.
So but right now they're sending it.
Generally speaking, now it's still going to the cloud.
Okay. Do you know which cloud they're using or no?
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
All right. What about contactless, like entry into the facility? I'm guessing that's a pretty secure facility. Are you supporting anything like that with your system?
We're not there currently, but that is certainly something that you see, right? I mean, if you look at the work that we do in the transportation space, that entire experience is going touchless. The work that we're doing in buildings and commercial real estate, you're definitely starting to see access control systems being used that are Wi-Fi enabled, right? And we're seeing that in other verticals, if you will.
Excellent. Now, I know that you have a long history with Wi-Fi and cellular in sports stadiums. So can you talk a little bit about anything that you've learned there that you were able to apply here or vice versa, or any of the trends that you see in stadium connectivity right now?
Yeah, I think you're starting to see just the densification of networks, whether it's cellular or whether it's Wi-Fi. There's just such a demand to be able to connect a tremendous amount of devices, pushing a tremendous amount of data through. So the network design, the densification, we're starting to see more and more infill projects where now they want to increase the number of access points that they've got at a facility because now there's more demand, more Wi-Fi upgrades, right, to Wi-Fi 6. You're starting to see that now much more the last 6 to 8 months. So it's a different host of projects going from just sort of net new designs and deployments to infill projects, upgrade projects. You're starting to see more and more now.
Right. Now, with the Commanders, with that being an indoor facility, I'm guessing that it's all Wi-Fi 6, not 6E.
It is Wi-Fi 6. That's what that is, yep.
Are you starting to see some demand for 6E, though, in some of your stadium deployments that involve outdoor?
We are, yeah. I mean, but, we're still waiting on the device ecosystem to catch up in a way, and then also the supply chain, right? I think one of the things that everybody's been challenged with a bit is supply chain. And there's a pretty long lead time for any type of Wi-Fi device, Wi-Fi 6, 6E. I mean, you're starting to see it shrink a little bit, but you're still looking a ways out to be able to deploy.
Okay, with the Commanders and with their teams that are training, I'm sure that they use the network for a lot of their own activities, maybe they're streaming videos or doing something that's not specifically related to the applications that we've been talking about, do you just have one SSID to support everything, or do you have like separate ways to support the different types of
With the
activities?
commanders, it's one, but you certainly could have multiple SSIDs, right? But right now with the commanders, it'll be one SSID.
So that's sufficient for everything that they've got going on there?
Currently, yeah.
And do they use it year round, or does the facility?
Again, it's practice facility, it's players, so it's a pretty limited set of use cases, if you will. It's not as if it's public and private, where you're running operations on it, and then you've got something else running on the network as well. It's consumer facing.
Right. Although I'm sure that they really enjoy having that robust connectivity for a lot of things that they do on their own time when they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was the biggest challenge, was they didn't have sufficient connectivity. And this was a problem that they found coming out of COVID. And that was really how this all started, right? Because they had people separated initially and trying to leverage applications, and it was spotty connectivity in building. And so it was, hey, how can you help us, right?
Yeah. And I'm guessing that they were asking you for something that would be somewhat future-proof, which I know is a buzzword that a lot of people don't like to hear. But I think a lot of customers ask for that, right? Make it future-proof, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, whether it's Wi-Fi or whether it's cellular, that's one of the questions that you're generally going to get when there's an investment being made of capital, right? And across our business, we're deploying Wi-Fi 6, we're deploying Wi-Fi 6E. Wi-Fi 7's right around the corner. I mean, I want to get through some of the 6 and 6E first, and before we talk about 7, and 5G before we talk about 6G. But at the end of the day, you can't help but have the conversation, and the questions always come up.
So how do you answer that for them when they say that they want to be ready for Wi-Fi 7 when that comes along?
Yeah, I mean, look, for us, I think one of the things that Derek Peterson, our CTO, and his teams have done is they've done a really good job being part of the industry organizations that are setting the standards, like the Wi-Fi Alliance, and really have taken an active role in helping to set the standards. So I think that we can usually, I would say always really, have a very confident conversation that we understand that what we're deploying is future-proof, right? Or we can help them move from, as we've done, 5 to 6, 6 to 6E, then to 7, just like we did with all the Gs the last 25 years, right? Because we do understand what's happening behind the scenes to get them ready for the next version of the connectivity that's coming down the road. And I think we're a big part of, I'd have to say, bringing that ecosystem together and then even executing on some of the trials, right? So it really allows us to be confident when we're talking to our customers and when that future-proof conversation comes up. And then it's not hard to check our references just based on the incredible amounts of implementations that we've done.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm thinking that it's a little more challenging, though, to go completely future-proof in a stadium. Like, I'm thinking about those health tracking apps that the players are wearing. They probably want to be able to support that in a real game in their real stadium too, right?
Absolutely, yeah. With any professional sports league, if you will, it takes a lot to be able to associate a device or an application with performance, right? I mean, there's all kinds of liability factors behind that, right? I mean, I remember when in a past life I was working through helmet cam type of applications and improving connectivity so that a quarterback could have a camera while he was playing. Well, between the union and the league and the team, there's a lot of checks and balances before you can even get an application like that approved for use. So,
interesting.
it's a process to make that all happen. And then to take it from practice, which is where they usually do the proof of concepts, to the game, that's a whole nother level of deal.
Right. And when you start talking about health tracking apps, you even add in the whole privacy element, which is another layer.
100%. And that's with sports now and following the teams, that's part of what people want to see, right? As a fan, not only do you maybe want to be able to catch the game and leverage AR and see the first down line, but also there's going to be micro betting, and then you want to understand the performance of the athlete prior to maybe a couple of bets forward. And there's going to be all kinds of interesting use cases that frankly are going to need applications and devices to be connected with low latency, high bandwidth. And that won't just be cellular, that'll be Wi-Fi as well, right? So I don't ever see the need for Wi-Fi going away.
Yeah, I don't think anybody brought that up, but yeah, it is pretty amazing when you think about what's going to need to be supported once sports betting starts to become legal in more places. I think that's just going to be an exponential growth in traffic, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, Mike, anything else you want to highlight while you're here?
No, look, I mean, it's great being back with you, and we're always interested in talking to anybody that really is thinking that Wi-Fi can play an integral role in what they're trying to do and the outcomes they're trying to drive. We're always also interested in talking to partners that are part of the industry. That's how we continue to develop out world-class solutions and ecosystems, and looking forward to more of those conversations.
All right, Michael Zeto, Chief Commercial Officer at Boingo Wireless. Thanks so much for joining us on The Signal today.
Thanks, Martha. Thanks for having us.
All right, and that is our show. Don't forget to check the show notes for more resources, and be sure to follow The Signal on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. You can get all the latest episodes straight to your device. Thank you for joining us. I'm Martha DeGrasse, here for Wi-Fi Alliance. For all things Wi-Fi, check out Wi-Fi Alliance at y-fi.org. And please join us next time on The Signal.